Hello and welcome to Beach Talk, brought to you by the students in FEA 338 TV studio production. I'm your host, Dominick Campos, and joining me today is Joel Gutierrez, the director of the Office of Multicultural Affairs right here at Cal State Long Beach. Here at CSULB, the OMA, in their own words, strives to intentionally create an inclusive and diverse campus community that promotes personal, academic, and professional development while embracing a nurturing atmosphere that cultivates a need for social change. That was a little bit of a mouthful, but thank you for coming onto our show today, Joel. So first of all, how are you doing this morning?
Doing good. Happy to be here.
Thank you. So for the first question I have for you is, what is the OMA?
So the Office of Multicultural Affairs is a department within our Division of Student Affairs. So when you think of academic life, college life, it's your academics, like your classes, your advising, and then everything extracurricular, your student affairs, right? Mm-hmm. So half of what you learn is outside the classroom. So that's what we provide. And the Office of Multicultural Affairs is a part of a unit that really focuses on multicultural affairs and inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so how does the OMA serve the students?
So we do it in a different variety of fashions. One of them being we have resource centers. So these are physical, on-campus physical spaces and places for students who identify in different cultural groups to go, to learn, to hang out. There's printing labs in all of them. We have 6 different ones. Mainly all of them are in Faculty Office 4, and one of them, our Native American or Pavungna Resource Center, is located in the USU. So that's one way we support students. They're having these physical spaces. A lot of clubs will do their meetings, their group meetings, their board meetings. They'll have events down there. The other thing is we provide training programs. So we'll focus on any training from intercultural development, consciousness development, and really just any bias that occurs. We can do it for staff, for faculty, and for student organizations. Right. And the third thing we do is really we work with a lot of clubs, organizations, departments on campus to really have those conversations of diversity, equity, social justice, to make sure our students are getting what they're paying for.
Absolutely. How many students do you think are involved with the Office of Multicultural Affairs?
Yeah, I think COVID has a lot to do with our lower attendance right now. So I would say, we have about 48 different cultural clubs and organizations that identify as cultural, whether that's through their faith-based religions or even through their culture or ethnicity. And then with any club, you'll have clubs that have 5 members to 35. Some of them might even have 50.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then we also hire students. So currently right now, we have about 10 students who we work with. Mm-hmm. So in any given time, you can have anywhere between 20 to 100 students involved in our offices.
Wow, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So a follow-up to that, particularly in a time right now, a very heated time, especially like last year, with a lot of people fighting racial injustice and LGBTQ violence, why is it important to have a resource like this on the campus?
That's a good question. I think you're right, especially in the last 2 to 5 years, there's been a lot of civil unrest. There's a couple of reasons why I think cultural centers, resource centers like ours are important. One of them, it provides a space for those who feel marginalized, right? So whatever your ethnicity, whether your disability, whatever your identity, these are spaces and places you can go to feel comfortable. 2, it provides an opportunity for those who are seeking to gain more knowledge and more conscious development, safe places to learn, right? I really do think people aren't gonna learn by shouting. People aren't going to learn by, degrading them. They're going to learn through those one-on-one connections. My job is not to change minds. That's impossible. I can't change your mind. You can't change mine. But I can provide opportunities for you to learn, to grow. So, and I think that's the other piece of it, is we provide those opportunities, whether they're through programs, through celebrations, or even just through one-on-one conversations.
With so many different students and so many different cultures involved, is there ever any strife or clashing or open dialogues between each other of problems that might occur?
Yeah, I think I'm still new to this campus. I've been here since June. So I do know some of the history of, some groups, maybe I like your word clashing with each other, or other groups maybe collaborating with others. I think there's always room for that. I do think when you're talking about identity, racial unrest, you're talking about people.
Yeah.
And, it's okay for us to be happy, sad, angry, frustrated. Those are natural emotions. It's what we do with them that make them either challenging or improving. So I think there are options for us to provide some tenuous conversations, right?
Yeah.
Especially with some of the stuff we're talking about. You and I can talk about equity, and I may say something that really kind of rubs you the wrong way. That's fine. That should happen. So I think I'm still learning what has happened here and then how our office can support those conversations.
Oh yeah, and you're like, you're opening up like a dialogue for people to like understand like, oh, I might be wrong on this, or like I need to learn about this.
Exactly. It's opening up that dialogue. I like how you said that.
Yeah. So you said that you've only been here for a couple months. How did you get involved with the office in the first place?
Yeah, so I've been in student affairs for a while. I'm actually a trained social worker by trade. So I worked a lot in the community, did a lot of different work. I used to work for nonprofits, different unions. So I've been in student affairs at different colleges, different universities. I saw this opportunity. There's a new director that's needed, a lot of structure, working at a larger school. I also worked at predominantly white institutions, so private schools. So I wanted to come back to an institution that I got my undergrad at a UC, so I wanted to go somewhere where the students I worked with look a lot like me, or at least have similar backgrounds. So I was really excited to come to the beach. I'm still very excited to work here and meet different students.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what events are currently going on with the Office of Multicultural Affairs?
Yeah, so the big events that we do right now, we actually celebrate the Cultural Heritage or History Month. So every month, and this is something the beach started a long time ago, so I can't take credit for this, but in every month there's different cultures and identities that are celebrated and honored. So in September, it was the Latinx Heritage Month. In October, we celebrate the LGBT community with our Outtober events. In November, we will acknowledge Native American history and heritage. And then in February, we'll do Black History Month. And then March, it's Women's History, so her story, or her history month. And then in May, actually April, I apologize, right before finals, it's Asian Pacific Island Month. So those are months where there's different events. We partner with different programs, different organizations, different departments to get a community calendar. And yesterday we had a kickoff event, which is a celebration. So we had community, like the Long Beach LGBT Center, the actual city Long Beach LGBT Center, come in. We had free food, there's entertainment. So those are the events that'll happen. And then we work with a lot of cultural organizations, so they'll have smaller events or maybe like community meetings that occur throughout the months.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I had like kind of a personal question. You said that you worked in a lot of the institutions you've worked with, they've been predominantly white. When you were going through college and school, was there like a presence of having like multicultural or different like ethnicity groups or clubs present?
Yeah, there was. So I think I did my undergrad years in the early 2000s. So my institution, UC Davis, wasn't as diverse as it is now, which is great. So back then, I think the Latino population, I want to say we were like 11%. So I would definitely go to these, Econ 101 or English 101, and I would be the only like Latino student of color there. So there was definitely some, I in my own personal stories, I've had faculty question whether or not I've written this essay, or I've had, police stop me because I'm getting out of class late. So, and I say that not to be like, woe is me, but that's the reality. I do think at that moment and that time, and even now, there are college campuses that have like these enclaves, these positions for students to really feel like they belong. And I think it's needed more than ever. I also think there's a new wave of how do we bring people together? How do we, the word of intersectionality is a huge thing right now, right? Like, how do we bring in this equity in this intersectionality piece we talk about? That wasn't around back when I was in college, or at least I think we were doing it, but we didn't know it was called intersectionality, right? So I think that's an important piece too, that everything we do in life is already there. We just put labels and names to it.
And I guess one of the final questions I have is, what do you see as the future vision of the Office of Multicultural Affairs?
We're actually getting more new staff, so I think that's one of the things that we have professional staff to support all these organizations and these departments. So that's one of the biggest goals is we're expanding. And I think the part of the other future is that we'll work more with students and more with organizations to support their needs.
That's awesome. And I think that's all the time we have for today.
Nice.
So I'd like to thank Joel again for joining us. And we will see you again here on Beach Talk. And once again, I'm Dominick Campos, and thank you for watching. So thank you for coming on.
This is pretty good.
Yeah.
Good job.